Yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of Extra Time TV, the final. We have with us once again James Beard. Welcome, James. What's happening? Where are you? Where are you right now, James?
I am out of this world. I'm in space, and actually, wow, I found Harry Kane's ball.
Oh, oh my goodness, Harry
But
Kane.
all of this traveling, obviously, I'm traveling back to Trinidad and Tobago, so it took me I took the long way, and we're back in Trinidad in actually a few minutes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, usually we say, Houston, we have a problem. Harry Kane, we have a problem. We found your ball. We found your ball.
And I'm back in Trinidad and Tobago. Wow.
What a journey, James. So, Hurricane fans, come on. We found the ball. We found it. The search is over. It's done. It was found by our very own James Beard. But so anyway, folks, moving along. The big final is going to take place. The two big ones, Lionel Messi versus Mbappe. Les Bleus versus the Albion Celeste. Two teams chasing that third star. Although I have 6 fingers up. Third star. So there's a lot at stake here. Not just the final, but there's a lot of subplots. A lot of, two teams that really want to cement their legacy. France wants to get that back-to-back World Cup victory and the third star. Argentina want to get that trophy that has eluded them for a long time, since 1986. James, before we get started, we just want to let the people know who have been supporting us that we'll be having our watch event on the Smokey and Bunties. And we recommend that people come on down from 9 a.m. The game starts at 11 a.m. Trinidad and Tobago time. James, let the folks know some good reasons why they need to come down.
Well, you can see behind me. What a great looking place. But yes, come down and join us at Smokey and Bunties on the Avenue. We have that wonderful trip for 2, flights for 2 to Tobago with our friends at Venture World Travel. We have shin guard for Armorflex. We have 6-packs from Stag and all the memorabilia that in the bar. And then Stag are also sponsoring the event. So there'll be giveaways, there'll be prizes, there'll be competitions in the car park. And then there's that big television, massive TV getting put up in the car park. So it's going to be one of the best venues to come and watch the game. And you'll get a chance to meet myself and Andre. I mean, what could be better than
that? What can be better than that? So, James, this is a big one. It's going to be a lot of things to break down. There's so many subplots and things we can analyze. I'm driving myself crazy thinking about it. I'm staring at the ceiling. I'm writing notes. And we know oftentimes we can analyze how much we want. Sometimes these games are, decided by little moments of brilliance. But before we get to moments of brilliance, let's start things off. So we'll start with France. France would like to win their back-to-back World Cups and also get that third star. Deschamps and his men look the real deal. There was a lot of drama going on before the World Cup. Benzema was gone and there's no Pogba, there's no Kante. They looked like they were going to be a typical French team. I know this, and I'm going to call out some of the fans out there. A lot of people, while France were strong, and there are some legit fans, not everybody kind of gave France too much 100% go. There was some doubt, some raised eyebrows, like Carlo Ancelotti's eyebrow. We know that eyebrow, folks. You know that one. James, they look like they have their full squad. Everything seems to be fine. There are some reports of some players having some illnesses. We'll talk about that in a little while. How do you think Deschamps and his men are going to approach this, considering that they won the last World Cup? Is the pressure on, or are they just going to go in as the previous winners with no pressure? What do you think?
Well, I mean, one of the things I like is Didier Deschamps has pulled this team together. I mean, there was lots of problems, as you said, unrest. I mean, obviously the players that didn't play. I mean, some could have said they had their canties in a twist, the amount of problems they had in that camp. Benzema, even the fact is that he could come back into the team now and they're not going to use him. They're not going to keep him there. But Didier Deschamps has done a fantastic job of, getting this team together. And they've had problems. Like we heard over the last few days, in the previous game, 2 of the defenders were out. In this game, it's looking like Varane. I think, can't remember who the other one was, but there's 2 of them again that could potentially miss the game due to illness. So I don't know what's going on with the AC over there in the stadiums or in the hotels in Qatar, but it is affecting this French team. But I think they will be quietly confident in this game. I mean, they're world champions at the moment until obviously they're beaten. And then, if Argentina can't come up with a worthy challenge, they will keep their hands on the trophy again. So and they have so much quality when you look through their team. So it's an epic game. It's going to be a fantastic battle. And again, it's going to be that game, Messi against Mbappe. I mean, what a matchup.
Yep, so some interesting stats. There's so many. We'll try to, condense it as much as possible. But France head-to-head against Argentina, isn't that great, having won 3 of 12 meetings against them in all competitions and losing 2 of 3 World Cup clashes. But the last one that they won was that epic 4-3 clash in the last World Cup. And there's some interesting stats, James. So, there's some cool stats here from Opta Analyst where they had a nice back and forth that admittedly that Argentina team is different from this team. And we'll get to Argentina just now. But a lot of people are making reference to that last game where France won 4-3. And it honestly could have even ended up 4-4. I remember there was a chance from Meza and I think also Aguero in the end. What do you think about people using the reference with that game, considering, the Argentinian team is very different? We do analysis here. This is a little bit of a question I'm kind of throwing out to us. Do you think that game really has much of an impact outside, maybe psychologically, heading into this game?
It doesn't. What I would say is, I mean, yes, players will look back and remember that game because obviously many of them played in it. But one thing I mentioned, and I've not been shy in saying, this should be a high-scoring game. Mm-hmm. Both teams have their defensive issues, and as I say, we just spoke about France and the illness they have in camp. And I think both teams, when you looked at them, had a mistake in them. I mean, I think on all the games they've come up against, both defenses has not looked airtight. So because of that, and with the attacking players both teams have, I think we could see another 4-3. It could be a game that will have lots of players scoring. And I think from a neutral point of view, that's what we want. So I think there will be spaces pop up. And as I say, with the flair players that are on show, I mean, for example, from an Argentina point of view, we know how good Messi is. Alvarez is, he's popped up. He's looking fantastic. I mean, I would really hope Di Maria comes in as well, especially as it's probably one of his last games. And then on the other hand, you've got Mbappe, Dembele, Griezmann, and Giroud. So, I mean, my mouth is watering even thinking about this game. And I think the fans will be sent at home, hoping it lives up to all the hype.
And there's some interesting stats I'm going to read out here. The last time, which is kind of positive for Argentina, I guess. The last time 2 World Cup finalists had both lost earlier in the same campaign. Obviously Messi lost to Saudi Arabia and Argentina, and France lost to Tunisia. The Albiceleste, Argentina, beat the Netherlands in 1978 for that title. So that was a interesting thing for that. So, and then also, if people remember, Spain lost their first game in 2010. A lot of people thought they were done and they went on. But we're not going to jump to that yet. We're still on France. James, there are some reports that some of the players, I think Coleman and I can't remember who else, that they have some sort of flu. I can't remember what the flu is. Do you think that it's sort of a mind game? Do you think the squad is okay or it's legit? What do you think about that?
Well, the fact that 2 missed the previous game shows that it's a little more than just a bug, because, I mean, I think Ipcano obviously had that issue, he nursed the bug and was able to play, but there's obviously something going on there. I don't think it's mind games, because obviously 2 of them were out of this game. 2 of them could potentially miss this game. But to be perfectly honest, I think it would take something really terrible to keep those players from wanting to play. It's the World Cup final. So even if they are not 75% fit, they're still going to tell their coach, I want to play. So, I mean, there's a lot of tinkering and thinking that Deschamps is going to have to come up with before kickoff tomorrow, on Sunday. But if there's a chance they are, remotely fit, I think they will play, because he's going to want his big players there. And some of these players are big players.
Yep. And tactically, what do you think the formation is going to be for France?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at all the articles online and they're saying a 4-3-3, but I think France, in my opinion, play a 4-2-3-1. So, I mean, in previous games, we know that it was Tchouaméni and Rabiot played in that kind of midfield area, and then we had Dembele, Mbappe, Griezmann and Giroud up top. And I think that's what they'll go with again. As I say, just to defend the back 4, because of the illnesses, I can't definitively say who will play. I mean, Koundé's been in there, Varane, Ipcamo will probably come back in, and Hernandez may play, obviously with Hugo Lloris behind them. So I think that's the way they will look. And one of the things you've got to say with this French team, Griezmann has probably been the standout of the tournament for him. I mean, with the exception of Mbappe, obviously everybody's raving about how good he's been. He's been fantastic. But Griezmann, he's been the unsung hero. He drives the team forward. He puts in tackles. He's everywhere in the field. So you have to give him a lot of praise. And he's definitely greasing the wheel, let's say, for France.
Yes, you read my mind, James. I was going to mention, Antoine and his, the silent hero, I guess. But for analysts, we'll see how much he contributed. While he may not be the goal scorer that we expect him to be, his contributions, and it's perhaps because of the absence of Kante and Pogba and so on, has really been essential for how France play. France has a tendency to not be afraid, and like I said in the Morocco preview when they played, I won't say park the bus, that's harsh, but I think they're not afraid to let the opposition have possession. It even looks sometimes, I don't know if it's intentional or not, I don't think it's intentional, where they almost lull teams into a sense of, false security. They come forward, and then that's where Mbappe kind of does his damage, where he's most dangerous. Now, against a team like Argentina, both teams have attacking threats. I mean, we spoke about Mbappe. Argentina does certainly have the players to break it down. However, if their high line tends to come up, it is possible France would try, but I can't see Argentina falling for this, but do you think that France are going to do that, or are they going to take initiative and take it to Argentina from the beginning, or are they going to do the France thing and be patient and then try to, pick off their chances and, also take advantage of the aerial threat that is Olivier Giroud?
A leopard doesn't change its spots, and I don't think France is going to change in this game. I mean, we know how they play. You're right. They tend to, first 15 minutes, attack well, put a lot of pressure on, and then they kind of sit back a little bit, maybe as if they're just kind of letting us see what the opposition has, and then they kind of try and hit them on the break. And with the pace they have of Mbappe, Dembele, I mean, they can do it. On the switch side to that, I think that Argentina can kind of play a similar tactic because, like I said, I think Di Maria may come back into the game this game. Obviously, they have Messi there, Alvarez, but I think that midfield that they've kind of instituted there with McAllister, Fernandez and De Paul, I love it. The fact is they can get forward in transition, they can get back, they can create chances. And I think that weakness that France have on the right fullback and Koundé could be where Argentina just pick their pockets a little bit at the back. But we will see.
Yep. So, there's so much to talk about, but France heading into this final look like the real deal. We touched on this at the beginning before we head over to Argentina. Psychologically, heading into this game, do you think France, I mean, it's a final, both teams will have a little bit of nervousness, but do you think being the previous champions and also having a good run of form, although the Euros, they did have a bit of a blip, does it give them a bit of an advantage?
Yes, definitely. I mean, just that little, just the bragging rights of being current world champions gives them that little edge. So I think that will be something, and they will be playing heavily on that as they build up to the game.
And another area as well, before we move along to the possible weaknesses, I mean, we kind of touched on the weaknesses for France. The aerial ability of Olivier Giroud. Set pieces and also balls into the box can be a problem. We saw Argentina had some difficulty dealing with that with the Dutch. I mean, that player was ridiculously tall, but Giroud has improved. I mentioned this multiple times. In the last World Cup, he didn't score goals, but his ability, his goal contributions, holding up the ball, getting it off to Griezmann and Mbappe was crucial, but now he can't score goals. So in terms of that asset heading into the Argentinian game, I think, to be honest with me, that could be the difference in the set pieces and so on, which also gives France in my eyes, another additional advantage. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the attacking prowess that France have is just phenomenal. I mean, the fact that you can keep out somebody like Benzema, who is available again now, and they're not going to use him.
That's another topic, yeah.
Speaks volumes about how well Giroud is doing up top. He can find that goal. He can win the aerial battles. He can hold up the ball, and he can also score from outside the box. So he is the complete forward. Yes, he's pushing on age-wise a little bit, but one of the things I've loved in this tournament is a lot of the players who people would have said were not the the greatest of all time or not the superstars have showed up, and they're starting to show everybody, you know, I'm here too, and I'm here to show the world what I can do. And I think it's a perfect example of Oliver Giroud, how well he's done that.
Yep. So there's so much we can do, folks. I wish we could have a 2-hour episode, but retention time and all that, we can't we can't do that. But James, let's talk about Argentina. So Argentina started off, they had that unbeaten run. They came into the tournaments as favorites. Everybody, the majority of people had Argentina, Brazil, and France, but primarily Argentina as one of the favorites heading into it. They did get to the final, but it was far from an easy road. They had that first loss against Saudi Arabia. A lot of people thought that was it. Just that was it. How could you recover from such a shell-shocking loss? Then they played Mexico, and they slowly, while it wasn't perfect, I did notice, and I mentioned this as well in previous videos, folks, you could check that out, that in terms of there would be games, they would be cruising in total control, and it almost seems as if it's not an amazing goal being scored against them, like, for example, Australia, it's almost like you can't really rest with this team until the game is done, with the exception of maybe the Mexico game, the Poland game, and the Croatia game, which was, to be honest, the Croatia game, I expected it to be a lot closer. Croatia, kudos to them, did really well. Folks, check out our reaction to that as well. But we saw as the tournament went along, they seemed to be getting that momentum that they clearly got knocked off in the first game. They also try various formations. They play 3 at the back. Sometimes they play 4-3-3. What do you think Argentina's mindset is going into this particular game? Yes, we know the focus is on Messi. Argentina has been in this position before. 2014, folks, you know about that. They got to the final, and it was a heartbreaking goal from depending on who you ask, but it was a goal from the Germans, Mario Götze. And while they have won the Copa America and the Finalissima, and it seemed to really lift that burden off of Messi. Do you think that's something that could play on the minds of the Argentines and probably work in the French team's favor?
Well, the first thing I'd say, a steam train takes time to build up speed. And that little blip that they had in the first game against Saudi Arabia was that building up speed, and now the team is firing on all cylinders. And they even have the tip of the spear in the sense they have Alvarez up top there. So it's not just Messi now driving the team forward. They have that young, talented striker who's finishing things off. So to me, they've built that momentum. And if you look at every part on the field, there are players there that can contribute greatly to the team. And that's what I love about this Argentinian team. The coach may have changed systems, he may have changed a few personnel, but they're all fighting for each other. And you can see they clearly want this. And they feel this is their year. So they will fight down to the bitter end for this result. And as I say, some of the players they have in there, like to me, McAllister, not because he's got a Scottish name, but he has been phenomenal in there for Argentina. I think De Paul has been great since he came back in. Martinez at the back has been leading by example. He's a big goalkeeper. He's organised. I mean, he's formidable. And then, as I say, when you go down, you've got Di Maria, Messi, and Alvarez. I mean, what a game we have, to anticipate. And I think, as I said in previous games, these players are going to leave it all on the field. And even if you look on the bench, we saw Dybala come on, Lautaro Martinez, who people have not been spoke to kindly of because he's came on in games. He's not maybe done as well as he could. But they do have players on the bench that can make a difference. Even Tagliafico in the last game we talked about, he was probably one of their better players. So will he be in line to maybe start the game, So I think Scaloni has a lot of decisions to make, but I think he will have a few tricks up his sleeve as well. And I think they will feel that they can prize that trophy away from Le Bleu.
Correct. And, speaking about, Tagliafico and so on, it seems as if on paper, the reports are that, Argentina has a full squad. I know there was reports. We saw Messi, grabbing his hamstring during the Croatia game, which some people are saying he was just kind of messing with people because he was holding his hamstring and then he did that wonderful move, that assist for the third goal against Croatia. Papu Gomez was also carrying a little injury, and also Acuna and Montiel missed the last game, which, as we spoke about in the preview in that game against Croatia, were key components for Argentina, especially Acuna. Acuna is Argentina's undisputed left back. Tagliafico has always been a very good backup. They rotated, but he hasn't had a great season. However, he did have a great game against Croatia. Does Scaloni bring Acuna back in, or does he keep Tagliafico? What do you think?
I mean, the more I think about it now, the one thing you have to be very careful of is that pace that France have. And I think, to me, Tagliafico is more of an attacking fullback. So I think he may go back to his original one and play Acuna in there and probably just play a little bit more diplomatic in the fullback position. Because, as I say, you give Dembele or Mbappe a millimetre and they're going to kill you. So I think because of that, he probably won't maybe give Tagliafico a chance, which is obviously contradicting what I just said. But, when you start to think about the tactical battles there, I think, especially in the opening 20 minutes, both teams do not want to make any mistakes. They want to be very focused. And I think they'll probably want to, show what they can do in that opening 20 minutes without giving too much away.
Correct. And, obviously, Scaloni, as I mentioned before, uses different types of tactics. I noticed I mentioned the 4-3-3 and the 3-5, 5 at the back sometimes. He also uses a 4-4-2, and he used it against Brazil when they won, which was interesting. A lot of people did not expect that in that Copa America final. They were all expecting the 4-3-3 or maybe, a 3-5-2 or whatever. But he uses 4 at the back, 4 in the midfield, and he uses a striker. In this case, it looks like Alvarez, Messi as the second striker. And usually this time he used Molina, but sometimes maybe Molina or a player like Di Maria on the right side, which sometimes switches to a 4-3-3, which seems to give them a bit more, visually at least, control over fast attacking players. I use the Copa America final as a reference because of the type of opposition they played. Vinicius Jr., Neymar, and very pacey players. Definitely Mbappe is on another level. I don't want to compare them, but Vinicius Jr., these guys are pacey attacking players. And it seems Scaloni is not afraid to switch to that particular formation in games like this. This is just my guess. It's possible that he may go with that. I also think, in terms of, a lot of people are saying if he does go with 3 at the back, does he use Lisandro Martinez, Otamendi, Romero, Molina at right back, and Acuna as the 5? And that, I think, is the real question a lot of people are asking, because if you do that, then you sacrifice the middle and then you give France room to come at you. But this is an Argentinian team, while they have leaked goals. Before the World Cup, I would not have said this. I'm not afraid to kind of sit back and defend. It hasn't really worked well in this tournament. They tried it a couple times and the games went not in their favor, especially the game against the Dutch, even Australia, where when they did sit back, players had no problems, doing individual runs and getting into that Argentinian defensive area. The key question, I think, for me is, how is Scaloni going to approach the pace of the forwards and also the French midfield? I think, as you rightfully said, the defense of both teams are far from watertight. I think there's going to be goals. But do you think it is better to stay with that 4-4-2, or should he go with the 5 at the back, 4-3-3? What do you think?
I think he will play a 4-4-2, but what I think he will do is he will play the game in different phases. So, for example, in the defensive phase of the game, he will probably go to a 4-5-1, which people are going to say, what are you talking about? But what I mean by that is, when you have the 4-4-2, you have Messi and Alvarez up top. When they're in defensive mode, they will probably drop Messi just a little back. So they basically become a 4-5-1 in that moment. And then when they're attacking, obviously, they will have their 4-4-2, their wide players getting forward. So I think the 4-4-2 will make it a little bit more pliable and allow them to do that while also being able to cover those areas in defense. So, as I say, we don't know what he's going to do. But if it was me, I would probably veer towards that 4-4-2, which will allow Messi to kind of drift, get up there when he can. And as I say, it'll give that solid back line at the back and that support in midfield as well.
Yes. So before we continue, we're just going to get a quick message from the kind folks of Biotech. And James and I, when we return, we'll give our final verdicts and, key players and end things off. All right, folks, and we're back. So that's a wonderful message from the kind folks of Biotech. And of course, I'm wearing my watch from the wonderful folks of SJG Watches and Accessories. People are buying them. We'll have them at the finals. You'll get them at a discounted price for $200. They were initially more even if your team is not there, they have the other teams as well. We have the Germanys and the USAs and the Italys. It's all there. So even if your team isn't there and you want to represent your team, and of course for the Argentina and the French fans, we have it there as well. So be sure to come on down. We have them there, and we have a lovely representative who will make sure you get exactly what you need. And it's not me. It's not me. Don't think it's not me. I know that's a good guess. It's a good guess, but it's not me. So, James, before we move along and we just give our final verdicts, folks, we have lots of giveaways, many prizes. James, tell us about the trip.
Well, we have that wonderful trip, flights for two to Tobago with our friends at Venture World Travel. I mean, as I say, me and Andre have not been, it's not a secret that we want that trip. Yeah. And all you fans want it as well. So come down. Everybody that comes down on Sunday will get put into a prize draw, and we will draw that out while we're doing the show, and you'll get the chance to win those 2 tickets to Tobago. We also have shin guards from our friends at Armorflex. We have 6 packs of beer. We have things from Angostura. We have so much more. And then we also have that wonderful, we have our friends at Natural Mystic. So make sure you contact them if you have any, you want to go down the islands. We have that, they have that house down there, beautiful house. So contact them. As I say, the flyer will go up on the screen, and you can contact them for your trips at the weekend or weekdays.
Yes, folks. So lots and lots of giveaways. You could come down. Not only will you have fun watching the game, or maybe be sad depending on which team you're on, you have all these things that you'll be given on to you. Yes. So, James, let's head back to the football. I wish we could talk about this for hours, but of course, time limitations. So we spoke about the tactics and so on and what's going to take place. But I'm going to bring up an interesting stat before we move forward between Mbappe and Messi. These are the players that everybody they're talking about. So this is from Opta Analyst. So both players played, Messi played 570 minutes. Mbappe played 477. Both scored 5 goals. The expected goals ratio, which is a new metric I'll explain separately if you guys would like to, or girls, I'll explain. It's lovely. It's 4.75, which is really high. And Mbappe is 3.46, which is also very high. Assists 3 for Messi, 2 for Mbappe. Expected assists, that's a lovely that's the kind of cool metrics we have now. So expected assists, 1.63 for Messi, 1.23 for Mbappe, which is pretty close. Total shots throughout the tournament, 27 versus 25. Shot conversion rate, Messi 19%, Mbappe 20%. Chances created, which is to me, I think a key metric here, 18 for Messi, 11 for Mbappe. Touches in the opposition box, 37 for Messi. And I think this is down to the positional aspect. And 58 for Mbappe. Because Mbappe does that wonderful dribbling and sends defenders crazy in the box. So I had to bring that up because, James, everybody's talking about that. And then another one, I'll pull up really quickly. Messi in terms of his touches in the middle of the pitch, which is where it shows his positional change and how Messi has changed as a player. In the middle part of the pitch, his touches are obviously overall out of 100%. In the middle area, 16%, 11%, 8%, 12% in the center of midfield. I'll probably put a quick map up there while we're talking so you can see that. That's where he concentrates most of his runs. It's kind of like a heat map, but it's not. It's something a little bit different, where it shows you that this is a very different Messi from the Messi we've seen in previous years. He is adapted. He's 35. He's not afraid to drop deep, and his ability to keep the ball is something very interesting and exciting. And he's had a wonderful tournament. Him and Mbappe playing different positions. I'm not going to compare them like how everybody compares Messi and Ronaldo. I think that's ridiculous as well. We won't talk about that. So, James, with all these interesting stats and so much information, we could talk about this game. We know the stakes. We know the stats. We know the possible formations. We'll just end things off by saying who are the key players of both teams and then give our final verdict. So, who do you think is the key player for France, key player for Argentina?
Well, it's kind of a stupid question. the key player for both teams, you just said it, is Messi and Mbappe. But
really?
Yeah, but I think Griezmann will have a big say in it, like I said already. And I think if I look on an Argentina point of view, I think Martinez will have a big say in it as well from the other side too.
All right. So I'm not going to say, although it's obvious, everybody will say Messi, and it's true. He is one, but I'll try not to, say what James said. I also think Rodrigo de Paul. I think he's a player that is very important for how Argentina plays. He gives that balance in the midfield and defense. Messi's bodyguard, as people like to call him. Now, there's a couple other players, but I said one, so I'm only going to choose one. I think if he is able to disrupt Griezmann and mess with the French midfield and break things up, get the ball to Messi and just calm things down. I think that will enable Messi and the other players. Of course, McAllister and so on, but Rodrigo de Paul has been doing it for a while now. I think he's my key player. For France, Griezmann, I think, has been for some people, not everybody, I think the underrated hero for France. The way how he plays really gets them clicking. So if he does well and he's not shut down by Rodrigo de Paul, McAllister, and the other guys, and is allowed to run around, he can cause problems. I know people speak about Modric and so on, but Griezmann, kudos to him. He has shown his tactical versatility with this team, because a lot of people know him as a striker and an attacking player, but he has the ability to kind of hover around and really release the French players. So those are my two. So James, verdict time. Yeah, this is where we make the final decision. We live or die by these votes. Who do you think is going to win?
It's going to be 3-2 to France, sorry to say for you. And Mbappe, Giroud, and Griezmann, the blonde bombshells, going to finish it off at the end there and send you guys home.
Oh my goodness. So once again, I'm going to shock a lot of people by what I'm going to say, because fanboy faces off analysis mode now. I think it's going to be a very hard-fought game. I think there's going to be a lot of goals. I could be wrong. A lot of people say finals are usually close, and it could be. Folks, we could be wrong, but I think in the end that France will edge Argentina. I felt like my stomach turned when I said that, but I think it'll be very close, and I think it will be a very unlikely goal, like a special moment from a special player or a set piece that will really separate the two teams, because I think they will start off cagey. It will be like a chess match, a chess battle, and I think because France have been familiar being in this position and winning the tournament before, gives them the bit of a psychological edge. So that's, I guess both of us say France. That's the analyst in me. The fanboy says Argentina is going to win with no, that's no logic. I'm just going to say Argentina is going to win. So folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below. Will I be continually depressed after the final and Argentina lose? Will the French team win? Who's going to get that third star? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. When you come on down and watch the game with us or comment in the comment section below, you're going to get all those prizes that James mentioned before and myself. Also, when you come on down, it kind of helps your odds. We'll have a little form you can fill out, a little bit of a tip. So come on down, let us know what you think in the comment section below. We'll probably do our FIFA sim before the final. It's been accurate so far, James. So far. So James, any final thoughts before we go?
No, I mean, I'm really excited for the game. I mean, one thing I would say is there's all this talk about, it's Messi against Mbappe, but at the end of the day, we have two excellent teams, two teams that deserve to be there. And I just hope the game lives up to all the hype. And because at the end of the day, whether you're a Argentina fan, a French fan, or just a fan of football, we want to see a good, fantastic, sensational game. And that's what I think we're going to get. So make sure you come down and join us watching the game, at Smoky and Bunties, and enjoy it. Have a smile on your face. I mean, if your team loses, it's not the end of the world. There's another one in 4 years. So
is it, James? Is it not the end of the world? Anyway, I'm just joking. So anyway, folks, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment in the comment section below.
You can tell me that after the game.
Hopefully I'll be okay after the game, even though my brain is telling me one thing. We'll see. And that's the thing, folks. James and I could sit down and analyze games, and the game could go totally different from what we expected. There's so much intangibles in these games. There could be a bad ref call that decides the game. Hopefully that's not the case. There could be a player that's usually in form, misses a sitter. We could have a goalkeeper that makes a blunder. That's the thing. There's so many little intangibles. We could say all these things that could decide the game. You never know. Sometimes teams go into the tournaments as favorites, they lose. Sometimes teams create more chances. The other team gets one chance, they win. So that's why we love this game. You really, really and truly don't know. We try to narrow it down a little bit and use stats and so on. That's what all pundits and analysts try to do. And that's why we love the game. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Why you are supporting the team you support. And, we'll see how it goes. So, James, we'll end this show like we always do. And we'll definitely have reactions to the finals. We'll have a lot of content of the event with a lot of you all down there. We'll feature you all on the show, reactions and so on, filming the activities, pictures and so on. James, let's end the show like we always do.
Just one little point to note for all our fans out there. In theory, on Sunday will be our last episode of The Greatest Show on Earth.
Oh my
Do you want us to continue The Greatest Show on Earth, or should we go back to our normal shows that we have? So let us know what you think about that. And as I say, after a great World Cup, we look forward to that final. Make sure you join us and make sure you continue all tuning into The Greatest Show on Earth.
Yeah.
seriously, them fellas seriously better win this game, you know. Or it's real trouble. Real trouble. Done.